Welcome to Clean Green Eating. This is plant-based to feel great. And today we're going to do a fruity smoothie. And it is absolutely my favorite between meal snack. And it's a way to get some wonderful veggies and some wonderful fruit. And if you're wondering, because we talk about food combining, you can combine fruit and veggies. It's actually very good food combining from Optimum Health. And this is a very simple thing to have. You just need some fruit and some kind of greens. I happen to have kale today, and then whatever fruit that you particularly like. I'll talk about some of the advantages of each of these items of fruit for me. And you need a little bit of filtered water and some kind of a blender. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. We happen to have a NutriBullet. It's got a nice big container here. It also has a smaller one that you can use if you're going to make a smaller smoothie. But I make a good amount because I want to be able to have this between breakfast and lunch. And I also want to have it, I save it and I have it between lunch and then dinner. So it just really satisfies me. And in the book, we talk about juicing, which is wonderful. Juicing is great. It's really breaks down those nutrients so your body can take it in. And smoothie is a step like that. It breaks down all this stuff into smaller and smaller bits so your body can absorb it. What you get with these smoothies, I find, is that fiber, and it's filling, it's satisfying. So between breakfast and lunch, I feel satiated. Between lunch and dinner, I feel satiated. I also find too that the smoothies, as soon as spring and the warmer weather started coming, I felt like doing smoothies. It's a little more of a challenge sometimes in the winter, but whatever it takes, try to get these in if you can. They're just fun. I want to talk about the fruit for just a second. If you find yourself having trouble finding fresh fruit, don't worry about that at all. There are so many options now. I always talk about, yes, I always talk about Costco. And here I found, like we're wandering around the frozen section, and they have organic blueberries all ready to go. You just grab those. I put some into a bowl here, and they're good to go. I just go to the freezer, grab it. There's another one here that's mixed berries. It's got blackberries and raspberries and a few blueberries. I want extras, and I'll tell you why I do that. And then these happen to be fresh strawberries. But again, in the frozen section at Costco, you can get frozen organic strawberries. And you definitely want organic when it comes to anything if you can. So try that. And then I have an organic pear. I'm going to throw that in. And then before we started today, I also went out to our garden and got some fresh kale. And I left the stems on and I did rinse them. But I'll show you that you want to take the leaves off the stem when you go to do this. Let's start with that. So I'm going to throw in the kale first, and all I do is I just grab it by the stem and just tear it off so that most of the stem is in my hand. I'm going to throw that in kind of like my recycling bin here, and just pull it off. It's nothing fancy, just rip it off. And the reason you don't want the stem, it's not going to kill you. It's just bitter. So is what I've been told. And so again, just take and slide your finger up it, rip it off. It's like when you were a kid and you were tearing leaves apart. It's really simple. I don't know why we got into that when we were kids, but I did. Yeah, my wife wants me to remind you that kale is one of the highest nutrient dense, one of the most nutrient dense foods there is. It's just loaded with good things. I find it makes a great smoothie. Now, if you don't have kale and you have like spinach in your refrigerator, use the spinach. Or if you have spinach in your garden, use the spinach. You know, whatever it is, the spring mix that you buy at the store, you can do that too. And notice I put a lot in there. There's a lot of green in there. Now, later on sometime, Tracy will talk about making a more savory smoothie. Mine is sweet because I like a little sweetness with it. It just lightens it up, especially in the summertime. One other thing I'm going to throw in really quickly is a pear. I take the skin off, even though it's organic. I take the top off, I take the bottom off, and I compost, so I don't feel bad about putting some things in the compost. So I take the skin off. I'm just going to do that, and then we'll take the core out. I like it. What I like about what I've been doing with fruit, now is my time to talk about the fruit, is although I like sweetness, I have to be careful with sweetness. So I'll check out each piece of fruit and see what is my body, how does my body react to it? And I'll even do some research. I'll use myself as a person to experiment with, but also do some research on it. And one of the things I found out is that pears have a light sweetness. And my body tells me that one I like. So it really makes for a nice, smooth, but light sweetness. And then some fiber there too. And again, if you washed it and left the skin on, you get even more fiber. The other thing I found is look at the color of these berries. Color tells you that these items of these berries have phytochemicals in there. And phytochemicals are micronutrients that really bring things to our body that the body needs. And so I'm doing my own research, and I'll say to myself, like, I'll give you a piece of information. For example, I pay a lot of attention. I have issues with my prostate and with my bladder. Sometimes my bladder is overactive. And one of the things I learned was that blueberries are great for the bladder. They don't stimulate the bladder. Actually, blueberries are a lot like, if you have like a bladder infection, they tend to make it go away because they have a feature about them that doesn't allow bacteria to stick to the bladder. How cool is that? So I throw blueberries in, and I have extras there because my blueberry mix that I had that was frozen has blueberries in, raspberries, one of my favorite fruits, and then blackberries. I'm gonna throw that in there as well. And again, look at those rich colors. I have a quick story about raspberries. I was born and raised in Minnesota. My parents have always gardened, my grandparents gardened. And when we used to go to my grandma's house, they had a big raspberry patch. And she would pick the raspberries, she would sell them, you know, and then they would have some for themselves. I would go out in the raspberry patch and just pick and then eat. It was too tempting. There was the berry right there. I was supposed to put it in a little container because she was going to sell these, but I would just stand there and eat them, and because they're so wonderful. And the other thing I've got here is strawberries. Now, I put a lot in here, but I'm not going to put them all into my smoothie because I love strawberries. We've taken the green tops off and rinsed them. But one of the things I know about strawberries, this is just through my research, is that they tend to stimulate the bladder. So I'll just put a few of those in. So this is a great example of try out what works for you and then adjust accordingly. So the amount of berries, the amount of greens, the type of greens, all that kind of stuff, figure that out for yourself, what tastes great for you. Last thing is I just have some filtered water. And yeah, clean green eating, come on, even our measuring cup is green. And here we go. We're just going to pour that in. I like to have it nice and thin because I'm going to use this throughout the day and it will kind of thicken up. And I'm going to put my top on, a little bit of noise here. Give you a little look at this now. You can only tell so much from the blender. So here we go. I've got just a clear glass here, clear cup that I use. Really do use this too. And look at how much I have of this. This will last me, again, between breakfast and lunch, and then between lunch and dinner. Look at that. And you can even, I can even see the flecks of, the beautiful flecks of kale in there and stuff like that. And if you find that that's a little too much for you and you don't want kale in your teeth as you're walking around talking to people, go ahead and just put it back in the blender and let her go again until you get it to the consistency that you want. But here it is. This is a fruity smoothie, and it's whatever fruit you'd like to put in that feels good for your body, and whatever greens you can put in, kale, spinach, spring green, spring mix from the store or whatever, put it in there and have some fun with it. That's the fun thing about smoothies. They're totally tailored to what you'd like. So this has been Clean Green Eating, plant-based to feel great.